Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, however you have found me. I'm just so thankful you're here with me today. Well, welcome to week 36, the parties over school, school days, from Lynn Bowen Walker's book, Queen of the Castle, 52 Weeks of Encouragement for the Uninspired, Domestically Challenged, or Just Plain Tired Homemaker. And, as I was thinking about my, the content that I've been adding this year, my goal was just to weekly put something up. And it's been exciting to share just some of the things that I love about this book, and I'm hoping that you're gleaning a little bit of something in regards to it. Now, I am a seamstress, and so I was thinking, what am I going to do next year? I would still love to do a weekly upload of sorts, and so I started thinking, well, maybe I'll start sharing some of my knowledge as a seamstress. I am what they call a master seamstress, which means I have training. More than anything, I have training in draping as well as patterns, etc. And so to me, it's just kind of one of those things that I'm like, it is what it is. There's always room to learn. Fabric is always changing. So it's kind of a fun thing. So, well, and I really wasn't able to delve into it as a business until my children were older, because it's just not something I could have balanced. I just am not made that way. My job was being a mom. That was the biggest thing. Stay-at-home mom, homemaker. Well, this week, I'm going to read the first paragraph because it's a fantastic one. Sometimes when I consider the schools my children enter each fall, I'm a bit shaken, admits Dr. Mary Mann Simon, author of The Year-Round Parent. Simon mentions that posted at the school's entrance are zero-tolerance drug and alcohol policies, and that hanging above doorways are flags to signify classrooms, which during the previous month were fight-free. It is not a comforting picture. Well, like Dr. Simon, and like the author even, I worry as well. I was able, just like Lynn Bowen Walker, we were able to put our children in a Christian school, but there still were worries and concerns. Were my children going to fit in with their peers? Were they going to make lasting friendships? Were they going to be challenged intellectually? Were they going to develop their own sense of being? Were they, just all of those little things you think about, and I can't fathom what parents are going through right now with COVID. Like, that's just another layer of all of those other things that you think about as a parent, or you worry about as a parent. Well, in Philippians 4:6, it says to be anxious for nothing. We're not supposed to worry about any of these things. I mean, come on, let's be real. We worry. It is what it is. But it is so important that we remember to give these things over to the Lord. And that, of course, is easier said than done. Some people are so good at it and could give everything. There are certain things in my life that I'm okay with, and I just kind of go, the COVID thing for me, I'm like, God takes me, he takes me, whatever. And I say it, my husband says a little flippantly, and I don't mean it flippantly. I know that I'm saved. I know where I'll go. Should he choose to take me, he's not going to take me 1 second sooner than what he already has planned. So I'm not worried about that. Of course, I would prefer to be here and reach our goals together and live out some of our dreams together and watch our grandchildren grow and see our amazing children as they grow in their own lives. Of course, I prefer that. Of course, I do. Well, the reality is it's out of my hands. And so I got to be careful how I say it, because I prefer not to go. If God gave me a choice, I'd say, well, can I stay here a little bit longer? But it is what it is. So it's still important, though, that even though my children are no longer in school, just like you today with your children in school, you're praying for your teachers and children and the other parents and all that kind of stuff. I also need to continue to remember that. Like, my job doesn't stop praying for those people just because my children aren't there anymore. It's so important that we continue to pray for that. Another thing she talks about here is every year, and I love this, every year after dropping my boys off at school, on that first day, I go home and write them a letter. A love letter. I guess you'd call it. where I chronicle my feelings as I watch them head off for new adventures with new stature, new responsibilities, new pants. I confide my hopes and prayers for them for the coming year, and always, it seems, I tell them how very proud I am of the fine young men they're becoming. This is awesome, and you might see this a lot on social media where people chronicle what did they say? Obligatory first day of school photo. And some parents will write a little something and some won't. But you know what? It's a great way to chronicle different things. And we would celebrate our children going to school, usually with maybe a coffee date, something that they really enjoyed. I remember the last time that I drove my kids to that year, I knew my son was getting a driver's license and he was going to be driving them to school. I remember taking my kids to school, and they're high schoolers, and we went out on the playground equipment, and I took some fun photos of them being silly on that equipment. And that was really, really fun and a great way to remember. It's so important, as we get back into this, sometimes it's hard to make that transition because we've been sleeping in, or a tendency to sleep in and stay up late. I'm one of those, I still kind of stick to a schedule, but my children choose what they want to. So we would try to, a couple weeks before, start going to bed at the normal time and getting up and kind of going through things to try and get them used to the schedule. But some other things that you could do to make life a little bit easier is pre-packing things the night before. Make sure that routine before they go to bed, maybe you pack the lunch together, you get the backpack together, you get the permission slip signed and put together, you pick the clothes out, etc. Whatever you need to do to try and make that next morning a little bit more easier, maybe a little bit more smoother. She does talk about some great suggestions in here, and lunchbox ideas, and different things you can do to make their lunchbox a little bit more fun. I was just like, yeah, you want a cup of noodles? You want leftovers? Whatever. But she does have a fun recipe for Scotch treats, and these are really good. I've tried them. They're wonderful. Now, I just want to encourage you guys. I'm going to go ahead and read this last verse, or the verses that she mentions in here in Philippians 4:6-7. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all comprehension, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Blessings to you, and I look forward to getting together with you again next week talking about our schedules. And I love this because it goes back into that, what are we signing up for? Where are we committing our time? So volunteer opportunities. And I'm in a season where I'm getting ready to sign up for some of those things. So it's important to be on the lookout, making sure that we're not filling up our time with unnecessary things, but that we are blessing others when we do. And always keeping our family above all of those other things. So blessings to you, and I will see you next week.